Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda, and all glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can see the photo that I have behind me today of Śrīla Prabhupāda. Now, I've had that photo since 1974, and it is part of my artifacts, my collection of devotional items that I've accumulated over the years. I also have a kurta from Śrīla Prabhupāda that was given to me as a present. Now this kurta, there's pictures of it with Prabhupada wearing it. And this kurta was given to me when Prabhupada was leaving the Toronto temple at the end of his visit to celebrate our acquisition of the temple and to give him a chance to see how we were establishing Krishna consciousness as a group. It was a group effort, of course, in Toronto back in 1975-76. Let me just see, hold on. Let me try to fix the sound. I'll call it just 1 second, everyone. A message from our production manager, thank you. I hope that's better. So, we purchased the temple under Prabhupada's direction. Actually, in 1975, he came to Toronto when we were living on Gerrard Street. And I can remember being in the room with Śrīla Prabhupāda on Pembroke Street, which was a slum next to the Gerrard Street temple. Prabhupada preferred to stay with the devotees rather than have him booked at a hotel. He wasn't interested in that. He was more interested in being in association with devotees. And Pembroke Street was something like the Bowery in New York City. But irrespective of that, Prabhupada was quite happy to stay at this apartment around this corner from the temple. And he would walk over every morning when he was visiting us to give the lecture and be a part of the morning program. So Prabhupada we were negotiating the purchase of the Avenue Road Temple. And we had gone there under Prabhupada's direction to do a tour of the building. We arranged a appointment. And when we got there, the Christian minister that saw us almost passed out on the street. Oh my God, look at these people. Of course, back then, Hare Krishna costumes and shaved heads and were quite foreign to Canadians, quite foreign. And so as a result, this person was quite in shock. Oh my God, who are these people? Who are they that are so bold that want to buy a church in one of the most prestigious areas in Toronto and Canada, just up from the Parliament buildings and south of Forest Hill? For those who are not familiar, Forest Hill is where all the wealthy people live. And the Parliament buildings, of course, is on a street called Avenue Road, which is one of the main thoroughfares in the city of Toronto. It's Highway 11. And every day, tens of thousands of cars come by the church. They're called the gateways to the city of Toronto. There's two churches. So this one we were looking at, it was a famous church owned by the Christian Missionary Alliance with Charles Templeton and Pierre Burton. Two famous people had bought it. And it was being sold now by the Missionary Alliance, but when they saw who we were, they were quite upset. So Prabhupada, we went back to Pembroke Street, and Prabhupada called up the BBT in Los Angeles and spoke to Romeshwar and asked him how much money he had in the BBT account. And Romeshwar told him, oh, we have 300,000 in the account. So Prabhupada said, okay, I'll take all the money. We'll make an offer to the church people in an effort to buy this prestigious building. So Jagadish at the time was in charge of the Toronto temple. So he got the offer prepared and we sent it to them, and they replied, no, we will rather burn it down than sell it to the Hare Krishnas. So like that, there's a great story behind this, of the acquisition of the Toronto temple under Prabhupada's direction. Later, I became the president. We went ahead and raised the money, and by transcendental arrangement, Krishna gave us the opportunity to buy this temple. And when Prabhupada was leaving after he joined us for the opening of the temple, he gave me his kurta. It's a golden kurta, which I have by my altar here in a special treasured box as one of the most important items, if not the most important items in my life, to receive from Prabhupada, because these artifacts from Śrīla Prabhupāda are worshipable items, just like his books, his original books, the Delhi Bhagavatams, are very valuable items, and we want to thank everyone who donated or is continuing to donate until we terminate this program for donations, continuing to donate to our GoFundMe drive to pay for the printing of these very valuable books. It's interesting to note that some of the devotees in this world who have seen our drive have actually come forward and donated. And for them, we understand that they have received Krishna's mercy by serving the pure devotee. It is only by devotional service to the spiritual master and by pleasing him that you can please Krishna. And the publication of these books is a very significant thing in the year 2024. Now, some people would say, oh, it's just a sectarian group. You people are just like all the other Ritvik groups. No, we're not. We are not a Ritviks, first of all. We are Prabhupada disciples in all of our membership. They are also Prabhupada disciples, and they are dedicated to serving the pure devotee spiritual master with all of the facilities they have in their life, best as they can do. And by the way, I wanted to mention Vijaya Pandit, and it's nice to see you have a small group there in Italy attending the classes and you're translating. Beautiful, it's beautiful. And I know there are other groups throughout the world that are doing the same thing. There are lots of people coming on YouTube. And we want to apologize if you didn't get the link today. We had quite a few people saying they didn't get the link to the classes, and we're quite concerned. So we will look at the technology behind that moving forward to make sure you're subscribed and you're getting these links. But at any rate, this mission of printing and republishing these Śrīmad-Bhāgavatams is not sectarian. It is devotional service in line with Prabhupada's original mission back in 1965 when he came from India to America and used these books as the means of a tool to preach to the conditioned souls what is the reality of the material existence that you're now entangled in. Yes, entangled, confused, bewildered, lost in time and space, completely dysfunctional. That is the conditioned soul. Someone could say, well, that's a bit harsh. No, it's not. Birth and death are harsh. Just think when you have to die. What are you going to think about when you're ready to die, Bhaktajad? Huh? Are you going to think about all your life that you lived and all the things that you did outside of Krishna as the way to prepare for death? Or are you going to think of the holy name? Are you going to remember Prabhupada's pastimes? Are you going to remember the process of devotional service as the only means to get out of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead? Or are you going to take birth again? What are you going to think about? I'll tell you what you're going to think about. You're going to think about Krishna and take shelter of Krishna consciousness and this devotional philosophy of bhakti yoga that Prabhupada so graciously brought to the conditioned souls of the Western world who are totally lost in illusion. Yes, they are. And we can see it. Hardly anybody is really interested in spiritual life. Hardly anybody. Look at today, we've got 24 people. It could be technology. We've been running this program for 2 years, and we got 24 people at the class. Well, is it a negative? No. It's a reality. It's a reality that very few people are serious about spiritual life or hearing the philosophy according to the spiritual master, unadulterated and unedited. Now we're going to move forward right away to a letter from a lecture by his excerpt from a lecture by His Divine Grace given in Gorakhpur on February 15th, 1971. We'll try to get through it. So after publishing 3 parts of readings, then automatically Guru Maharaj gave me indication that now you can start for America some way or other. In 1965, I went to America with great difficulty, but I took about 200 sets of books, these Bhagavatams, that we're reprinting. The customs clearance was done. I told them that, oh, I'm taking these books for distribution, not for sale. Anyway, they passed. And with these books, I reached America, and I was maintaining myself by selling these books. For 1 year, there was no friend, and I was living in an apartment with great difficulty. Still, the whole, I mean to say, stock and my typewriter, my tape recorder, and everything was stolen. In this way, I became very much depressed. And I was going to the shipping company when the next ship is going to India. So they gave me such and such date. Then I thought, let me wait for some time more. Then I shall return back. I had a return ticket, of course. There was no difficulty. In this way, in 1966, by selling these books, I had only $200, and I dared to take one apartment and storefront. The storefront $125 per month, and the apartment $75. So I had only $200. So I advanced him $200. I did not know how to pay next month's rent, so I started in 66 lecturing in a storefront and living in that apartment in 26 Second Avenue. And gradually these boys and girls began to come, and then I started my kirtan in Tompkins Square. More and more of these younger Americans, they came to me, and things were organized. Then I registered the Krishna Consciousness Society under Religious Act of New York in 66, and gradually people took interest. People means the younger section. All the boys and girls, they were from 16, not all 16, but there were 16. Krishna Das was at that time 16 years old, and between 20 and 30, only I think Keith, now Kirtananda Maharaj, he was at the time 29. Hayagriva, I think 29. So in this way, this Hayagriva, I met him on the street after renting the apartment and storefront. Then I was returning this Hayagriva, Professor Harwood Wheeler. He was philosophically minded, so he asked me, Swamiji, are you coming from India? So I told, yes, I'm coming from India. So are you interested in Indian philosophy? Yes, sir. So why don't you come? I've taken one storefront and apartment. So I came back. I showed him, here's my storefront and apartment. You come in the evenings. So Harigriva and Kirtananda, Keith, and some other boys, I think, Satsrup. Pradumna, Rabindra Swarup, Prabhupada, Rabindra, yes, he was there. Tamal Krishna, Mukunda, Prabhupada, Mukunda. In this way, 5 or 6 students used to come. Gradually it developed. Then we started next branch in San Francisco, and branch in Montreal, next in Buffalo, Boston, in this way. Now we've got 45 branches. So practically we began work from 1968, 66, I started, and 67. So I came back to India again. I went there in 68. Practically this propaganda work began vigorously from 68. So from 68, 69, and 70, this 71, so 3-4 years, all these branches have grown up, and now practically throughout the whole continent, Europe and America, they know what is Krishna Hare Krishna Maha Mantra due to our propaganda. Just like the boys, you've seen their chanting and dancing. We send street Sankirtan, even the most busiest part of New York, Fifth Avenue, and they go there. The American boys, they are very daring. Sometimes police arrest them. Yes, I was arrested a few times, actually. Put in jail 3 times. And lots of harassment by the police in Toronto. We had 62 charges against the devotees in the Toronto preaching work. The police and public and police, both, they are now sympathetic that here is a movement which is gradually genuine and very beneficial to our people. They are sympathetic, and even some of the Christian priests, they are also very sympathetic. They say, these American boys, they are our boys. They're so nice that they're mad after God, but we could not give them Swamiji what has given them. So they appreciate it. Actually, these boys, they come from Christian families, Jewish families. There are many churches in America. I was surprised when I first went to Butler. That's a small county. But I saw there about dozens of churches. Yeah, like in Hamilton, there's hundreds. There's over 100 churches in this city. So I thought the American people are very highly minded. And actually so. The history of the American people, mostly they came from England for this purpose. So they migrated in America for being religiously advanced. So American people, I very much appreciate them. They are religious. They've got good potency for understanding God consciousness. That is my opinion, but I do not know why I was inclined to go to America. It was also Krishna's desire, because I thought if this movement, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, Chaitanya said, Pritivitiyachi yata nagaradi gram sarvatra panchara hoibi moradnam. This was the prediction. As many towns and villages are there on the surface of the globe, everywhere the message of Hare Krishna mantra and Lord Chaitanya's name will be there. So I thought that I should go to America. If the American people take it seriously, then other people will take it. So actually that is happening. It happened in Canada. These boys are so enthusiastic in preaching that on my word, they are going any part of the world, any part of the world. They are prepared to go any part of the world. And just now I received one letter from my disciple, Sriman Upendra Das. He does not know Hindi. And in the Fiji island, there are many Indians, but he is making propaganda. He's simply chanting Hare Krishna mantra door to door. They are also husband and wife, and people are very much appreciating. So my Guru Maharaj desire and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's this prediction is now being fulfilled. At least it is begun to be fulfilled. So this is a genuine movement, authorized movement, and India's original culture. So our appeal to the Indian people that you should take seriously about this movement and try to cooperate with us. That will be the glorification for Indian culture. At the present movement, India is known as a very poor, poverty-stricken company. People are under the impression they are beggars, that they have got nothing to give. They simply come here to beg. Actually, our ministers go there and for some begging purpose, give us rice, give us wheat, give us money, give us soldiers. That is their business. But this movement, for the first time, India is giving something to them. It is not a begging propaganda. It is giving propaganda because they are hankering after this substance, Krishna consciousness. They've enjoyed enough of this material consciousness. The material consciousness means to enjoy sex life and drink and have sufficient money. These three items, they have got sufficient, immense. They are. So far, material comforts, there is no conception in India how they are materially comfortable. Their roads, their cars, their machines. You cannot imagine how American roads are there. There are freeways in America. There are freeways without any stoppage. You can run your car in 70-mile speed. And for 4 cars going up and 4 cars going down. I can remember when I was going to Vrindavan in the 70s, the roads were not developed at all. It was like old style India. And road yet like the velvet. Our roads, there's no comparison of their material advancements. So I always, when I run some freeway, these boys run our cars, and you'll be very pleased that in every temple, we've got at least 4 cars, nice, especially 1 car for me and 2 cars for carrying them for Sankirtan movement. Very good arrangement, better than any temple in India. If you go, sometimes I request you to go. But one condition is that you must become life member. But if you go, we'll be very much pleased in our temples. And this Dr. Rao, perhaps you know, he is a professor in your Gorakhpur University. He was a research scholar, atomic research scholar. His wife was sitting there. So he's there, so he was very much captivated with the temple worship, and there he became my disciple. So it really gives you an insight into Prabhupada's early years and how he was propagating the Sankirtan mission under the direction of his spiritual master, Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, in the line of disciplic succession from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. We'll move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, and then the reading and discussion with His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, our beloved God brother. Haribol.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Muspat Paramahansa Parivrajaga-Acārya Sattvaresvara Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai Nāma-Acārya Śrī Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvāsadeva Gaur Bhaktamani ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khanda Radha Khanda Giri Govardhan ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai ki Jai Jamuna Mai ki Jai Guru Dwarka Dham ki Jai Swami Bhaktivedanta ki Jai All glories to their Summit. All glories to their Summit. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Śrīla Prabhupada. Glories to you, Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya Narayanam namaskritya Naram cheva narottamam Naram cheva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Tato Jayam Mudirayat Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1 to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2 to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3 to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4 to Śrīla Vyāsadeva, the author, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We see we have some good friends from Italy, Bhakta Zoran, Gopika, and Bhakta Zoran's wife. Welcome. Buongiorno. Come va? We'll be reading a few selected verses from the first canto, 2nd chapter, which explains the meaning and the benefit of hearing this great literature of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Shushrushuhu Shraddadhanasya Vāsudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done, and as the result of such great service, affinity in the message of Vāsudeva is made possible. Text number 17. Shrinvatam svakata Krishnaha punyasravana kirtanaha hridyantastoya badrani vidhunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtaprayeshu vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the devotees, unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate will become destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Text 19. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chetayetera viddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time, the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in the mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This week we will be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 5, text number 15. Now, this is a fairly long verse, so we will go ahead pretty swiftly to get to the purport. There's a lot of very interesting insights from Śrīla Prabhupāda on this one. Jugupshitam dharmakriti anushasataha swabhavaraktasya mohan vyatikramaha yadvakyatu dharma iti taraha stitu namanyate tasya nivaram janaham. All English synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Jugupshitam, verily condemn, dharmakrite, for the matter of religiosity, swabhavaraktasya, naturally inclined, mohan, great, vyatikrama, unreasonable, yadvakyatu, under whose instruction, dharma, religion, iti, it is thus, itaraha, the people in general, stita, fixed up, na, does not, manyate, think, tasya, of that, nivaranam, prohibition, janaha, they. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religiosity, which is verily condemned and most unreasonable. Because they are guided under your instruction, they will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for their prohibition. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Śrīla Vyāsadeva's compilation of different Vedic literatures on the basis of regulated performance of fruitive activities as they are depicted in the Mahabharata and others are all condemned herewith by Śrīla Nārada. The human being, by long material association, life after life, as a natural inclination by practice to endeavor to lord it over the material energy. They have no sense of the responsibility of the human life. This human form of life is a chance to get out of the clutches of the illusory matter. The direction of the Vedas are meant for going back to Godhead, going back to home. To revolve in the cycle of transmigration of series of life, numbering 84 lakhs, is the term of undergoing imprisoned life for the condemned conditioned souls. The human form of life is a chance to get out of this imprisoned life, and as such, the only occupation of the human being is to reestablish the lost relation with God. Under the circumstances, they should never be encouraged in the matter of making a plan for sense enjoyment in the name of religious functions. Such diversion of the human energy is, so to say, a misguided civilization. Śrīla Vyāsadeva is the authority in the matter of Vedic explanations in different literatures, like the Mahabharata, etc., and his encouragement in the matter of sense enjoyment in some form or other is a great barrier for spiritual advancement, because the people in general will not agree to renounce material activities which entrap them in material bondage. At a certain stage of human civilization, such material activities in the name of religion, as sacrificing the animal in the name of yajna, was too much rampant when the Lord incarnated himself as Buddha and had to decry the authority of the Vedas and stop to perform animal sacrifice in the name of religion. This was foreseen by Nārada and therefore condemned such literatures. The flesh eaters still continue to perform animal sacrifice before some demigods or goddess in the name of religion, because in some of the Vedic literatures, such regulated sacrifice is recommended. They are so recommended as to discourage flesh eating, but gradually the sense of such religious activities are forlorn, and the business of a slaughterhouse become prominent, because such foolish materialistic men do not care to listen others who are actually in position to explain the Vedic rites. In the Vedas, it is distinctly said that the perfection of life is never to be attained either by voluminous work or by accumulation of wealth or even by increasing the number of population, but it is so attained only by renunciation. The materialistic men do not care to listen to such injunctions. According to them, the so-called renounced order of life is meant for them who are unable to earn their livelihood on account of some corporal defects. Such defective men only should take up the life of renounced order, or the renounced order of life is meant for persons who have successfully failed to achieve prosperity in the family life. Such incapable men only can retire from material activities and may pull on the life some way or other, depending on the charities of the munificent population. In histories like the Mahabharata, of course, there are topics on transcendental subjects along with material topics. The Bhagavad Gita is there in the Mahabharata. The whole idea of the Mahabharata is culminated in the ultimate instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, that one should relinquish all other engagements and should engage oneself solely and fully in the matter of surrendering unto the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. But men with materialistic tendency are more attracted with politics, economics, and social upliftment activities mentioned in the Mahabharata than the principal topics, namely the Bhagavad Gita. This compromising spirit of Vyāsadeva is directly condemned by Nārada, and he advised, so to say, to speak directly. The prime necessity of human life is to realize his eternal relation with the Lord and thus surrender unto him without any delay. A patient suffering from a particular type of malady is almost always inclined to accept eatable, which is forbidden for him. The expert physician does not make any compromise with the patient and thus allow him to take partially what he should not at all take. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that men attached with fruitive work may not be discouraged in his occupation, and gradually he may be elevated to the position of self-realization. This is sometimes applicable for those who are only dry empiric philosophers without any spiritual realization. But impetus for those who are in the devotional line may not be advised by all means. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyayam Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshatah Adadhanastrinam Danter Idam Yachi Punah Punah Śrīmad Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatusmyaham Sadadaso Esmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Chatakaromi Svam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Just yesterday, while preparing for the class or the reading, I went to the Prabhupada website, Prabhupada Books, and look up the word Jugupshitam. Jugupsitam usually means condemn or abominable. Here we have Sri Nārada Muni chastising Vyāsadeva, telling him that you have written about so many different topics in your various writing on the Puranas. And if we look at the translation Prabhupada gave in text number 15, Jugupsitam means verily condemned. And Prabhupada translates, the people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religiosity, which is verily condemned and mostly unreasonable. Because they are guided under your instruction, they will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for their prohibition. Very interesting reading we had before the class today, where Vishwakarma Prabhu was reading from Prabhupada's diary, explaining Prabhupada's opinion. Prabhupada is articulating his viewpoint that he thinks that people in America at that point in time in 1966 were very favorable for religious pursuit. The history of America is that many people came from European countries seeking for freedom of religion to practice their chosen faith or their chosen particular religious direction. And America gave them that freedom. So this, some way or other, was very significant. Actually, these diaries that we're studying from Śrīla Prabhupāda are very, very important because it gives us an exact idea of the mindset of a fully realized soul, of a pure devotee. In other words, Prabhupada is explaining what he was thinking coming to America, what was his mood and his idea of preaching to the Westerners, especially the Americans. And here we see that Vyāsadeva is giving very, very valuable instruction. Now, this is a very long purport, and we're not going to go into complete detail analyzing everything here. Suffice to say that Prabhupada is emphasizing that the essence of the Mahabharata is the Śrīmad-Bhāgavad-Gita. Within the Mahabharata, before the actual war itself, Krishna and Arjuna went between the two armies, and Krishna delivered the entire Bhagavad Gita instruction. So this is very significant. Krishna liberated all the souls on the battlefield of Kurukshetra who saw him personally, completely liberated. It's interesting how in the Bhagavad Gita itself, in the 11th chapter, Krishna is telling Arjuna that the fate of all these soldiers is already sealed. It's already decided, regardless of what you choose to do. Their destination is already decided. You just become an instrument to fulfill the will of Krishna. So here in this Bhagavatam, we see that Nārada Muni is telling Vyāsadeva, become an instrument to present the essence of Vedic conclusion, to present the essence of Vedic literatures, which is what the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a description that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam not only is the topmost literature, but it is the essence, the explanation of the Vedanta. This is very significant. This is a quote from the Garuda Purana, where it is explained that this 18,000 verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the essence of all the Vedas. This is the purport. This is the natural commentary on Vedanta. This is the perfect explanation of the Gayatri mantra. So this literature, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, came, the full-fledged Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after Vyāsadeva was chastised by Nārada Muni. Then he started to fully disclose the entire theological science of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Because we see, according to the Manu Samhita, ahar nirta bayamaitunam cha, that the tendency for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending is there with everybody, including the animals and the human. But what distinguishes the humans is the capacity to reflect and think in spiritual life. Animals do not have that capacity. You cannot go to a tiger, to a lion, to a cow, to a cat or a dog and start preaching Bhagavad Gita. They will not understand. They do not have the capacity based on that body. But human beings have that capacity. And that Vishesha Dharma, that specific capacity of the human form of life, is the capacity to understand spiritual life. Who am I? What is God? What happens after death? Where is the kingdom of God? What is this world? How was this world created? All these natural questions are all answered perfectly in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And this is not merely sentiment. This is not merely some speculative sentiment. This is a very scientific explanation. But some will say, well, we have no way of verifying the statements of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam with modern science. Yes, this is a different system of knowledge. Aroha, avaroha. Prabhupada explains in the Sri Upanishad, there are two systems of knowledge. One is the experimental knowledge, the current scientific model, and one is to hear from authorized persons, liberated souls. It's called Shruti, to hear, to submissively hear. This is the essence of what Nārada Muni is trying to tell Vyāsadeva. Do not pursue the path of sense gratification. The Puranas have so many different explanations to give various sense gratification pursuits for human being. But the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is completely beyond that. Right in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, in the first verse of the first canto, Dharma prajita kaitava, second verse, that in this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, all cheating religion, kaitava means cheating, bluffing, is kicked out. And this is a very important point. Many times Prabhupada is criticized in his various writings and lectures about taking to the path of religion for sense gratification, for personal aggrandizement, for personal promotion, for name, fame, power, prestige, position, profit, adoration, distinction. All of these things are different tangents. They're different deviations that will not help one in the pursuit of sense gratification, of spiritual life. That is why there are so many warnings from all the great acharyas. Everybody has heard about this great king, King Kulashekar. He was the king of Kerala, the southwestern portion of India. And he took a very long pilgrimage to Sri Rangam. And he wrote this very beautiful poetry called Mukunda Malastotra, an offering of a garland to Lord Mukunda, which are praises of Lord Mukunda. Our Śrīla Prabhupāda is quoted from King Kulashekar several times. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur many times quoted from King Kulashekar. Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Thakur also quoted many times from King Kulashekar, because that poetry, Prabhupada started to translate that book. He translated 6 or 7 verses and he gave some purports to many of them, because it is such a very important devotional literature summarizing the essence of spiritual life. And what is that? Mas janmana phalamidam maduketa bari mat prarthaniya madanugraha esha eva Tvat Britya Britya Paricharaka Britya Britya Brityasya Britya iti mam smaralokanata. King Kulashekar is expressing, oh, my dear Lord, you are the killer of the Madhu demon, Madhu and Kaitaba demon. You are the Lord of the universe. Kindly grant me just one favor. What is that? What is that request? That I can become the servant of the servant 7 times. Tvat Britya, 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 like that. 7 times that I can just remain your servant of your servant. This is exactly the same mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gopi Bhartuhu Padakamalayor Dasa Dasa Nudasa. This is the mindset. But too many times, devotees get misled by the pursuit of some false ideas. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada is described in one purport that if a devotee is not careful to clear out the weeds of personal desires, he will be victimized, and eventually he will desire to become an avatar or a reputed devotee. Have we heard that before? Very important point. Pure bhakti, pure devotion is not cheap. It is not cheap. It can only be obtained by the mercy and the grace of a pure devotee who has the pure bhakti. This is what Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and our Śrīla Prabhupāda have taught. It is not very difficult to understand. It just requires single-minded focus to understand what is the real path of devotion, as opposed to Mishra Bhakti. We want Shuddha Bhakti, pure Bhakti, not Mishra Bhakti, not mixed with karma or gyan or yoga or all these other distractions. Hare Krishna. All glory is to His Divine Grace, the embodiment of pure devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol, glory to Śrīla Prabhupada. Thank you very much. And further, the understanding of life comes from the Vedas. And of course, the Vedas have information which is beyond the university level of study, because the university is teaching mundane knowledge of how to live in this world. Prabhupada called the university a slaughterhouse, in that the people end up taking birth at the end of this life in one of 8,400,000 different species of life. Now, this may seem incomprehensible. How can I understand that? In fact, if you think about it, Krishna Katha Prabhu, before we met Prabhupada, did we have any idea how many species of life there were? None. Not one person knew. But according to the Vedic teachings, under the explanation of the pure devotee, which is the idea of the purports give us insight into knowledge that we're not familiar with. And this is because it's Shruta. It is codes of information. And these codes have to be understood through the agency of the spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupada. He gives us the insight. Even in business, Prabhupada explains, you have CIF, you have FOB, freight on board. There are different codes even in business. And you have to learn these codes if you want to work in a job. So in the same way, to understand Krishna consciousness, you have to read the Vedic literature, the codes of information. For example, there are 18,000 verses in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. These are the codes of information into the purpose of life. And then Prabhupada's purports, his word for word translation and the verse are further elaborated by him in his purports. So it gives us insight into a world of knowledge that we're not familiar with here in the Western world, especially. We go to university. I studied economics and political science here at the University of Guelph. I had no knowledge of transcendental purpose, none. There's some kind of frivolous information which is changing constantly. So all of us have that same experience going through our educational process. But here, Prabhupada is explaining 8,400,000 different species of life. 8,400,000? Well, how does that break down? Well, according to the Vedic teachings, there are 2 million non-moving species, such as trees and plants. 2 million. Think about that, Krishna Katha. It's beyond our comprehension. Of course, we don't understand how there are billions of planets. Just like we can't understand billions of dollars, really. 1.1 million species of insects and reptiles. 1 million species of birds. Quadrupeds, there are 3 million, and in the water, there are 900,000. And then finally, there are 400,000 human species of life. And somehow or other, we think we are important. Oh, you're important, eh? A speck in the universe, insignificant, little insect riding around in your car on the highway. You may have a nice car, you may think you're rich, you may think you're important, but at the time of death, zero. Your whole life adds up to nothing except repeated birth and death. And according to your karma, yes, karma, akarma, and vikarma. There are 3 aspects to karma. According to your karmic activity, you take birth again in the next life. Well, people say, Christians say this, Bhaktivedanta, oh, I don't believe in reincarnation. Then what happens to you? If you're a Christian, well, you float up maybe into purgatory. If you're a Catholic, you're taught about purgatory. You go to a place of suspended animation and you stay there, and eventually you come back down and you take birth again. That's kind of reincarnation, even in the Christian teachings of Catholicism. It is. Well, how is it that you come back? If you were somewhere that you don't come back, what happens to you? Oh, well, you go to heaven or hell. Heaven or hell? Well, what is that? Well, hell is a place where there's fire and you burn, you're punished. Then what happens? Well, you just rot in hell forever. Very, very, very simplistic explanation of spiritual life from the Christian theological point of view, heaven and hell. Of course, we understand that. There are different higher planets, there are middle planets, there are lower planets, even in this material universe. Patala Loka. And you can read this in the Bhagavatam. What happens if you commit sinful activities? You'll take birth in the lower species of life. So if you want to know what is the purpose of life, if you want to have transcendental knowledge, bona fide information about the purpose of human life, you have to have a proper teacher. This is guru, diksha guru, siksha guru, vartma padarshaka guru. There are 3 classifications of guru. But the position of Śrīla Prabhupāda is, he is in the Gaudiya Sampradaya line of disciplic succession from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Prabhupada explained in a lecture yesterday to me, he said that the Acharya is Krishna. Well, there was a controversy, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, years ago, where Brahmananda and some of the other God brothers of ours, they said, oh, Prabhupada's God. Prabhupada got very upset. He isn't God. So Acharya means you're the representative of the Supreme Lord, and you teach by example, not by precept. Oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. And you show no example. That you put on, for example, people put on festivals, but they don't do any work. They write a check. Oh, here, excuse me, let me write this check to you, and you go put up the festival, and I'll come and watch and walk around and look stupid. This is not how you teach by precept. You teach by example. And actually, that's the responsibility of each of us in this group, to chant around 16 Bhaktaran Singh without fail, every day. To study these books, and at least a meager attempt to attend 3 classes a week in the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society YouTube programs. At least that. Prabhupada was running 3 classes a week. He would expect people to show up. But then people send me all this inquiry these days, because we have hundreds of people that are interested. What should I do? I tell them, well, at least attend the classes 3 times a week for 6 months, at least. That's what we had to do back in the day. Someone asked me that question yesterday. Well, how did you get, a fellow Bhakta Jesse from Houston, Texas, he asked me, well, how did you get initiated? Well, you had to show you were intensely interested in this process and got up every morning for Mangalarti. Without fail, that you went out on Sankirtan for 6, 7, 8 hours a day without complaining, that you surrendered all your time and effort in the service of the Sankirtan mission back then with no salaries. You did it because you understood by selfless service to the spiritual master and to the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya, you would get the mercy of the spiritual master and the mercy of Krishna. And in this way, you become self-realized. Someone was asking me a question. It's actually the same Jesse. He said, well, I'm planning to go to the Houston temple today. Today. Not some kind of story 5,000 years ago. This is the story of the Sankirtan movement now. I asked them this question, well, when you go, can you ask the people at the temple, who is the guru? Just ask them. I'm interested to know. Is he a guru that's been elected by a GBC body, or is he a guru based on self-realization by his strict practice of devotional service to his guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda? Has he become transcendently positioned as the personification of Lord Krishna in words and actions, like Prabhupada was? Does everybody here know what the answer is going to be? Are you self-realized to take the position of Diksha Guru? Of course, I'm setting this young man up to get the right answer, which is that Prabhupada is a bona fide spiritual master, and through his mercy and the careful study of his purports and his books and the practice of his programs to become Krishna conscious through purification of one's character and personality, one can rise up out of the animal state of illusion that we're in and avoid taking birth again in the future in one of 8 million 400,000 different species of life. This is very serious. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please. Microphone. Click the microphone.
You're raising some very, very important points, very important fundamental points. Actually, looking
Yes.
at a picture of our friends from Italy, I'm getting some realization why Prabhupada was so many times quoting that you remain in whatever occupation you are. This is from the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Ramananda Roy. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India, before he left, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received advice from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that when you go to South India, you should meet with Ramananda Roy. But Ramananda Roy was a governor of the then state of Madras, and he was basically busy with material activities and management and social activities, military activities. But Vasudeva Sarvabhauma told him, no, do not misunderstand his position. He's a very advanced devotee. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had these discussions with Ramananda Roy. And the topmost instruction that was accepted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was this: Sthane stitaha shrutigatan tanuvan manobir, that you remain in whatever occupation you are and hear the message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So the question may come up, somebody may say, well, what will be the benefit of this? The benefit is described in the Bhagavatam itself. By this process, you can conquer Krishna, get the favor of Krishna. Because one of Krishna's name is Ajita. Ajita means one who cannot be conquered by anybody. But by this process of hearing the Bhagavatam, under the guidance of a realized Bhagavata devotee, then Krishna, who is Ajita, becomes Jita. He becomes conquered. One will get the mercy and the favor of Krishna. Because sometimes people say, well, how can you see God? Can you show me God? Well, this is the process to develop the vision to see God, to develop the eyes to see God. Interestingly, in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, in the 11th chapter, there's a very interesting series of verses that is quoted from the Adi Purana, where Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that the greatest religious activity, the greatest austerity, is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It says, there is no vow like chanting the name of Krishna, no knowledge superior to the name of Krishna, no meditation which comes anywhere near the chanting of the name of Krishna. The name of Krishna gives the highest result. The name of Krishna, there is no penance equal to the name of Krishna. Chanting the name of Krishna is the greatest act of piety and the supreme refuge. Even the words of the Vedas do not possess sufficient power to describe its magnitude. So, and there are so many other references given by Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. The point is, the process has been made simple. Nobody has to study Sanskrit for 12 years or become a great yogi or big austerities or give up everything. No. That is not the recommended process for this age. That is why in the Upanishad, the Kali Santara Upanishad, there is a description, Nata Parataro Peyaha. There is no higher process than the chanting of the Maha Mantra. And somebody may say, well, where does it say that? Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. All the Vedas are giving that recommendation. So this is the teachings of Śrīla Prabhupada, the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the teachings of all the great Vaishnavacharyas. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, and you brought up a very good point about seeing God. We want to see God, but do you have the eyes to see God? Just like the soul, do we see the soul? No. You see through hearing. That is the system. in our sampradaya. By hearing the philosophy from the lips of a pure devotee, there's a substance in it, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, that's very ecstatic. The more you hear, the more you can start to understand. It's a system. That's how everyone learns, by the way. It doesn't matter what your thing you're practicing or following. If you don't listen, you won't be able to understand what is to be done. You have to hear. So the principle of Krishna consciousness is this. You simply dovetail that hearing propensity in relation to Krishna and hear from the pure devotee. And in this way, you begin to understand this process. Then you have the eyes to see Krishna through the ears. It's a transcendental science. It's not a science of asanas and pranayamas. It's a science of hearing. And this is being constantly reviewed in our discussions. Even today, Nasta Prayeshu Abradeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Upadekshanti Te Gyanam Gyaninas Tattva Darshanaha. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class, attendance, that means you're there, you're listening and rendering service unto the pure devotee. All that is inauspicious within the heart becomes almost destroyed to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead becomes established as an irrevocable fact. It is by a practical application, Krishna Katha, to this process. It is not automatic. If you're not disciplined, are you a devotee, Bhaktijad? No discipline, no advancement. It's not intellectual. Someone would think, oh, I'm a Brahmin. I was born as a Brahmin. I'm so smart. I've got all this information. Jayananda never lived that way in our movement. He lived by practical service and humility. He had an understanding of how to treat other people. Even in the society that we're a part of overall, there's very little respect for anyone. Everyone's so self-engrossed. Oh, I'm so smart. I'm so intelligent. This is a total misunderstanding of our philosophy and the idea of working together as devotees. Cooperation. Is there cooperation these days? Hardly any. They have more loyalty to a basketball team or a musician or a politician than they do to a devotee of Krishna. In fact, most people, they'll take the knife and stab it in your back if they can, through rumors and speculation. That's our experience. Oh, you could say, how could you say that? After 55 years, I've seen it thousands of times. Who can say it isn't true? People say to me, well, what about all of this stuff you're bringing up about the society? I tell them, just go to the internet, Google it, you'll see a million complaints. And what is it? All kinds of fault finding, criticism, banishment, all kinds of difficult. Is this the behavior of the devotee? No. Devotee means humble servant of the Supreme Lord. Is there any respect for seniors, even in this society? Is there? Look at these people, 21, 22. Some of us are 70, 75, 76. They're telling us, oh, this is the way it should be. That's the way it should be. You should listen to me. Okay, fair enough. I will. And by the way, let me push block right now. Let me push block. Goodbye. You haven't even understood the first principle of respect amongst people. in the human society, not the first level. You arrogant fool. Go away. Boom. Someone would say, well, that's a bit harsh. Well, should we waste our time with people that are not serious? No. It is a waste of time. And time is our most valuable asset. We have Bhaktivedanta here in France. Yaśodā, let's hear from him. What would you like to say, Prabhu, please? Bhaktivedanta in French. Haribo.
Dear devotees, buona giornata to Italian devotees. And bonjour, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. So ecstatic to hear from you, dear devotees. And yes, we should preach to the innocent. We do not preach and waste our time to envious people and people who are not very, very interested. And I really appreciated the class today concerning so-called religion system. And actually, we could say Prabhupada, when he was preaching to other persons, he would speak automatically about meat eating. And it is not a small detail at all. Like all people going to church, to mosque, giving in charity, opening hospital, feeding the poor, they all eat meat. It's the beginning. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he spoke with the Chandkazi, immediately he will point out why you kill mother cow. So this is the state of the population nowadays. They don't even understand this very basic point. Like, I believe in God, but I pay and eat and torture poor animals. So this is completely nonsense. And yes, that's the thing which came in my mind. And while distributing books, how many times, oh, I'm Christian. I cannot touch the book. I cannot buy it. This is Hinduism. No, my friend, you are not Christian. You are a pure, eternal spirit soul related to Krishna. But we can see this religious system, they are good in them, but it develops fanaticism. Like, it's okay when you follow nicely Jesus Christ, you get benefit. Sure. But why? Oh, I'm Christian. I cannot. Once a lady in book distribution, she told me, oh, the Holy Spirit is telling me to eat meat. I was like, no, what is this? This is not possible. So some kind of weird thing happened. But when people who are in this religion, if they are sincere, they will accept Krishna consciousness because they are looking for God.
Yes.
And if someone is sincerely looking for God, then Krishna will reveal to this person. Hare Krishna.
That's very true. And it is a matter of internal desire. And Krishna is watching us. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. Prabhu, please share your insights today to the group.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Prabhupada
Yeah, just one of our friend's father just passed away, so we've been having a lot of activities to try to help with that situation. But one thing interesting happened to me after I retired in 2016. One of my friends was trying to be a beekeeper and get honey from the bees like I was. So we go to these beekeeping classes. And one time he came to my house and asked me, he said, do you understand what is a living guru? And I didn't realize at the time that he had been going to some kind of training or classes or seminars to follow a living guru kind of a theology. And I thought to myself, after this time, I said, if somebody's explaining what a living guru is, they're trying to say somebody is a dead guru. And the more I think about this, it's really a bizarre kind of ideology. And then if you compare that to 1978, when the devotees were given some documentation that the leading secretaries went to higher authorities to get some kind of authorization or understanding, and we reflect back on that, we can understand what they were trying to say was that Prabhupada was a lower authority. So, and the more I think about this whole thing, it's just kind of a really horrible thing that's happened, that in 1970s when Prabhupada was here, he never told us about a living or a dead guru or higher or lower authorities. It was just kind of a bewildering thing. So this is a little bit about what the class was about today and a little bit different, but these things were on my mind. So I had to speak about it. Thank you. Haribo.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Prabhu, that there is a great fraud that's been perpetrated in the ISKCON movement between people that believe that Prabhupada is living with us in sound, even though Prabhupada has told us over and over again this reality that Krishna lives in sound. The holy name is non-different than Krishna himself. And similarly, Prabhupada's books are non-different than him. So how is it that Prabhupada has died? Prabhupada told us, I will live on in my books, and you will follow them. You will work with them. That will give you guidance into terms of what you are supposed to do with your human form of life and how to cooperate, Mariopanada, with others in spreading Krishna consciousness throughout the world. How to cooperate, because your love for us, Prabhupada told us, will be demonstrated by how you work together. This is a very practical mission. How is it that they create all of these wonderful material organizations and they're successful and the people are loyal to them? And by the way, not everybody works for money. Some people are genuinely interested in working with each other for the success of their project or mission. It's not always money. So a lot of people are motivated by, but somebody that's motivated by a pure desire to serve the mission, that is the person that's celebrated the most in the organization. Those people who have the proper attitude, that is the most important thing. Just like we have this GoFundMe campaign, out of millions of people, we had 90 people donate for the Bhagavatams. And those 90 people, they're being recognized by Krishna. Krishna Kata in San Diego, California, sort of. How are you?
Hey, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Vishwakarma and Yaśodā-nandana. Wow, today's verse and everything that Yaśoda has said in his realizations. First of all, the discussion in this format is highly desirable because we stick to Śrīla Prabhupāda and his position as the authority. We put up the book, and so we can see and read along as you and Yaśoda are reading from the diary and from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is a bona fide format. The other thing, and it's very pleasing to Prabhupada, the other thing in today's verse is very significant for me because although I was only 7 years in a 7-year-old kid body at the time that Śrīla Prabhupada landed in the United States on the East Coast, I wasn't personally chastised by him. I never had personal Vapu association with him, which again speaks to there is no need for a living guru. And like Dharva Bhavana said, the living guru philosophy really indicates immediately that a guru is dead. But we know from our teachings from our spiritual master, the guru never dies. He lives forever in his sound and words. And regarding the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra that was brought up so nicely today, this is an ask, right? When we are chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we are asking to be engaged in devotional service, to be the servant of the servant 7 times over, like in today's class. The position is so tiny, right? 8,400,000 species. We are so much of a speck that for us to even have this golden opportunity to ask directly to the Supreme Lord and his eternal internal energy, Radha, right? Hara, the invocative Hare. We are in such a golden opportunity because we are directly associating with Krishna in this sound vibration. Think about our tininess as this greatest of the great, of all the highest opportunities. So that's why when Prabhupada said 64 rounds, then he cut it in half to 32. Then he said 16, no less. He knew that this was the delivery method. He knows this. We now know this. There's no doubt. There's no speculation. So any of these big leaders that we sometimes focus on and their attachment to aggrandizement and fame and adoration and money, they're all bean counters, and they're Mayavadis, a lot of them, that have infiltrated into a perfect movement that Prabhupada gave us. We shouldn't dwell on that so much. We should really focus on this grand opportunity to ask Krishna, please engage me in your loving devotional service. This is the real process and method. And we're getting so much support from the unchanged books, because when you bring it, this is just me with an opinion, but it's come to me so much that I must share. We talk about Prabhupada's body being poisoned. That's an issue that special devotees have taken that up, and we appreciate what they're doing. We appreciate their money they're pouring into. We appreciate their effort. But for me, the real poisoning is the changing of the spiritual master's words, and the changes support their mundane material agenda. This is the real poisoning to me. So that's why this campaign of bringing back Prabhupada's original words that are never going to be changed in this first canto. We will always make sure this first canto gets printed as it is, untainted, pristine, and perfect. This is the way a real seeker of knowledge can get the transcendental knowledge to their soul, to them, the soul, and understand how important the chanting is, because the words of Prabhupada in his purport is non-different than the chanting. It's all the same. So this is my realization from today's verse, that even Vyāsadeva is getting chastised. That's pretty heavy. Nārada chastising Śrīla Vyāsadeva is just, it's a mind-blowing situation, but it's exactly what we need. Prabhupada is chastising us. Kick out this mundane nonsense, sense gratification, and just focus on chanting Hare Krishna. It's our chastisement. Just stick to his program, his disciplinary process. If you stick to his process and don't allow yourself to associate with all these other, pretenders that have sold out to Kali Yuga, Goddess Kali, they've sold out their senses, their mental, their subtle senses. Just stay away from them. This PDA, Hare Krishna Society, Prabhupada Disciples Association, focuses on what Prabhupada wants us to focus on. And this is the real path. There's lots, like Vishwakarma, you said, there's so much going on the internet. But I have never found anything more pure and perfect than this program 3 times a week. It keeps me steady. It keeps me focused on the real path of bhakti, right? The real path of bhakti, not the fake bhakti, where there's a exchange with Krishna, like a trade. Like, Krishna, I'll make this garland, but you're giving me a salary. Krishna, I'll cook this bhoga and offer it to you, and I'll chant the Gayatri mantra, but I'll take a salary. Krishna, I'll distribute these changed books because I want to fit in and go along with the program, but I'll take a salary. That's not bhakti. Hare Krishna, thank you for letting me speak. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
I wanted to further just read these quotes from Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu on the glories of the chanting of Hare Krishna for everyone that may not be on the chat. There is no vow like chanting the holy name, no knowledge superior to it, no meditation which comes anywhere near it, and it gives the highest result. No penance is equal to it, and nothing is as potent or powerful as the holy name. Chanting is the greatest act of piety and the supreme refuge. Even the words of the Vedas do not possess such power to describe its magnitude. Chanting is the highest path to liberation, peace, and eternal life. It is the pinnacle of devotion, the heart's joyous proclivity and attraction, and the best form of remembrance of the Supreme Lord. Best form. The holy name has appeared solely for the benefit of the living entities as the Lord and Master, their supreme worshipable object, and their spiritual guide and mentor. So Prabhupada has given us this wonderful process by the grace of his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, who gave him the instruction to come to the West and preach Krishna consciousness for the fallen souls here. We're almost over. We're at 11:38 already. We're moving along. We can take a short comment from Nilesh Sharma, who's appeared on the screen. Haribol.
Hi,
Hare
Haribol.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Haribol, Hare Krishna. Jai Śrīla Prabhupāda. It's a very interesting concept about the living guru. Anybody who says that, do you believe in a living guru, basically is demoting the guru from a spiritual platform to a material platform.
Mhm.
What does Krishna tell us in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 27? It says, anything which is born is going to die. So if you are believing in a living guru today, that means tomorrow that living guru is going to be a dead guru. Isn't it? Because anything which is living is going to die. But
Good
we
point.
believe that the spiritual master is transcendental. He comes from the transcendental platform. Whatever he speaks on a transcendental platform. And whatever he does on a transcendental platform, which is beyond time, space, and matter. So what we see as death is not death of the spiritual master. It is the disappearance of his material body. But the spiritual master is eternal. So
Yes.
anybody who tells you that, hey, you should believe in the living guru, is that you're bringing down your guru from a spiritual level to a material level. Understand what they're talking. These people do not understand what they are saying. So do you believe in a living guru? Yes, my guru never dies. He lives forever. He's eternal. So there's no question of living or dead. So let's not fall into those traps. Another thing which Bhakta Jad was talking about, about Christianity and how he's struggling with Christianity. There's a very nice documentary on Netflix about the 12 missing years in Jesus Christ's life. What has happened? Somebody has traced him all the way down to India, and he has traced his path also, where he has uncovered a lot of things. It's a very interesting documentary. I do not know much about Christianity, but as Prabhupada said, that yes, Jesus Christ did come to Jagannath Puri and take darshan of Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. So this could be like a putting your foot into the door kind of a thing for those who are receptive. Yes, there are many who are not, but we need to pray to Śrīla Prabhupada and to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give us that understanding of when to let go and when to kind of persist. You see, so this is a very thin line which all preachers have to kind of walk through. But I would definitely encourage you to watch that documentary on Netflix about Jesus Christ's missing years. There are 2 or 3 documentaries. I've watched 2 of them, and they're very interesting. So keep up the good work with the preaching, but don't fall to this living prey, because then you're reducing your spiritual master onto a material platform. Hare Krishna.
Good
I'm
point.
going to read this quote that Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu has given us, very insightful, from Prabhupada speaking to or sending a letter to Tusta Krishna from Ahmedabad on December 14th, 1972. You're asking me if I'm present in my picture and form. The answer is yes. You're asking me if I'm present in my picture and form. The answer is yes. In form as well as in teachings. To carry out the teachings of Guru is more important than to worship the form. But none of them should be neglected. Form is called Vapu, and teachings is called Vani. Both should be worshipped, but Vani is more important than Vapu. Is that hard for anyone to understand? Is it hard to, do you have the capacity to understand this and wash away all of the delusion that is currently existing in other groups and missions where they say that Vapu is more important than Vani? This is insanity. We're going to carry on here just with one more comment from Kevin G. in Tennessee. Are you in Tennessee, brother? Kevin G.
Yes, yes, I am. Thank you for to accept my home obeisances, all the devotees. I just had a quick question. I was thinking about this recently. I'll just make it short. I
Yeah.
was being invited to. I kept getting calls from this one ISKCON guru, and kept calling my phone, asking if I could maybe give him a ride and things. To this
ISKCON guru, which one?
Hanuman Prashak Swami. He kept on calling my phone and was wanting to get a ride from me and things. And I just said,
Hanuman Prashad? Is that Hanuman Prashad Swami?
Hanumat Prashak.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Prashak Swami, yeah.
Hanumat Prekshak
But
Goswami. Hanumat Prekshak.
Yeah,
go
he
ahead.
but yeah, he was looking to get a ride, and it's for Gaura Purnima or Nityananda Trayodasi. I stopped going. I had the realization I'm going to stop going to temple, and so this young guy used to give rides to temple. He's from Hyderabad, India. He's new to Krishna consciousness. I stopped and I told him the realizations I had, and told him he has to be careful. I'm going to take a break from ISKCON temples, and be careful, Prabhu. This is a serious thing. There's fake guru program going on. There's abuse of children. But recently, this young guy wanted to purchase a car, and he has been without a car. So my question is, I have thought about helping him to purchase an automobile, but in my mind, I'm thinking about the karma, thinking about the measurement of karma in this. Would I be responsible karmically if I helped to purchase him a car, give him advertisement for cars that I see? If he decides to purchase a car and he decides to go to temple, and for some reason somehow he gets sucked in, brainwashed, and takes a guru, a fake bogus guru from ISKCON, would I be responsible with this karma? Like if I just pass him an automobile?
Yeah, I'm going to give a quick response and I'll have Yaśodā speak. You know, there might be better ways. There are a lot better ways to engage your money and your service to Śrīla Prabhupada than giving somebody a car to go to a bogus temple to learn a bogus philosophy from a bogus guru. Yes, it might be a better use, but you have to figure out what it might be. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please, as a last comment.
Well, this is a topic that is many times devotees are asking these questions. What if you give money to a spiritual organization? Because during Prabhupada's time, the same question was asked. Achyutananda Swami asked Śrīla Prabhupada, what if you give the money and the money is misused? What happened? And Prabhupada says, but both are implicated. In other words, before you give charity, you have to know what you're doing. Whether it's good intent or bad intent, you have to know what you're doing, because there will be reaction. I mean, it's just like there's a lot of exploitation that goes on in the name of guru business. And I keep quoting that verse all the time. This Guravo Bahavo Shanti Shishya Vittapaharakaha. That in the Padma Purana, there's a conversation between Lord Shiva and Parvati. And Lord Shiva is telling Parvati, there are many gurus, Guravo Bahavo Shanti, who are very expert in stealing the money from the disciple. Shishya Vitta Paharaka. Haraka means take away. Shishya Vitta, the wealth of the Durlabha Sadguru Devi. But it is very rare to find a bona fide Vaishnava guru, Shishya Santa Paharaka, who can take away the miseries of the disciple. So in other words, the idea of giving in charity is very noble. The intent may be good, but how will that be used? How will that be used? Just like, you mentioned the point about child molestation, child abuse, and now we have a long laundry list. I mean, just a few weeks ago, one of our devotees was beaten up. He could have gotten very seriously injured by some fanatic, by some mindless fanatic in the ISKCON temple in Sacramento. This just goes to show you the level of consciousness of these kind of people. When Prabhupada gave this philosophy, he was not expecting that his books and his teaching would become obsolete the day that he would depart. That was not the idea. The Vani, Prabhupada taught us that Vani is more important than Vapu. They are teaching that their Vapu is more important than Prabhupada's Vani. So use your intelligence. Are we supposed to accept Prabhupada's statement or statement of those people who have misinterpreted the philosophy? Just like this point that was raised by Shyama Prabhu, Neil Shyama Prabhu, is very important. Prabhupada taught us right in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, before any purport, before any of the verses, he lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. Now, if you think about that, Prabhupada is giving a very profound, very essential understanding of what is the Bhagavatam philosophy. Mm-hmm. It is not complicated to understand. It only becomes complicated when personal motivation is injected. Then it becomes complicated. I see that Krishna Kataprabhu may have a comment. He's raised his finger there. He give us his.
No, I was
Krishna
agreeing.
Katabhashya. Okay.
That's me agreeing with you. It's a good point. As soon as you inject this material motive, then it spoils everything. So I was agreeing with you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this is just a few thoughts. As far as what you should do, best you give your money to print Prabhupada's original books. That is the best service you can do. Get some books, get them distributed. You can get some books right now. There are some original books available to that krishnastore.com, which is a very good group. They're distributing KBI original books. Get some books, distribute them, give them to your friends. Get everybody you meet. Keep some for yourself, for your parents, for your friends, your sister, your brother, your grandmother, your grandfather, your uncle, everybody you got at the gas station, at the supermarket. Just give them that mercy of the pure devotee. That is the best service that anybody can do. Anybody can do. I mean, for the last few months, I've been working on a compilation called Vani and Vapu. So many of Prabhupada's statements, and meditating on this and corroborating this with so many other statements of Śrīla Prabhupada, how important it is to understand the essence of Prabhupada's teachings. We're not a mundane religiosity simply for cheating people for money. This is not what this movement is about. There's a conversation Prabhupada said, a lecture. We are a honey society. Do not become a stool society. In other words, do not cheat people. Do not bluff people. Do not lie to people. This is our point. Prabhupada has given the best philosophy, the best presentation, the best teaching. Simply what we have to do is present it. Link them to Śrīla Prabhupada. That's all we can do. And anybody who wants to pose and posture as big authority, trying to promote their Vapu, what good luck to you. That philosophy is gradually being edged out. It's very gradually irrelevant. it will become more and more irrelevant every day that goes by. And I keep saying this point. At some point in time, it may not happen immediately, but it will happen in the future. Prabhupada will be the exclusive center of worship in ISKCON. All obeisances paid in all the temples will be to His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupada. The process of offering Bhoga and Arti will be reestablished eventually, the original system that Prabhupada has given. All of these original practices will be reestablished, and all of this Vapuvad consciousness will gradually become totally irrelevant. Right now, it is happening gradually. It will happen. It is simply a matter of time. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Thank you
Jai
very
Prabhupada.
much. And
Thank
you
you,
know,
Prabhupada.
we've reached 11:52 here in Eastern Canada, so we're almost at noon, and we've gone over the program. I hope that none of you mind. I see many of you stayed on with us for these discussions, and we try to follow a program to an hour and a half, but when all of you are contributing your realizations and questions and insights into the philosophy, it's said that the devotees take great delight and enjoyment discussing about Krishna and the spiritual master when it's properly presented. So we want to thank everyone. Yes, Vijay Pandit, what do you have something you wanted to say? You've got your thumb up.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, there is a Chaturbuja that made a question about donation. He asked, the Agyata Sukriti done to a devotee will have the same effect as what Kevin mentioned? Kevin mentioned, he explained what will happen if what he explained. No, you given a right answer. So Chaturbuja is asking if this Agyata Sukriti is to a devotee, without knowing, without understanding what he will do with this help, with this donation. What will be? It is the same thing?
Yaśodā, can you answer that? Your microphone, please. Click it.
What is his definition of Agyata Sukriti? You're meant to say service to a devotee, or what is his idea? When he says Agyata Sukriti,
he means to give a donation. To give a donation to a devotee.
Well, the intent is good. Yes, he will definitely get some transcendental benefit for that. Of course, one also has to use the intelligence to first sort out what is the donation is being used for. For example, somebody in this discussion mentioned that some devotees now are getting salaries in ISKCON temple. This was not introduced by Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupada did not introduce the idea that devotees who are supposed to render voluntary service, voluntary devotional service, should be receiving a salary. For example, we built the Krishna-Balaram temple, the Namhata party, Guru Kripa Swami and myself, in South India, Mahamsa Swami, Achyutananda Swami, Guru Kripa and myself, the Radha Modan temple. We didn't get a salary. Now, if somebody, without knowing, and this money is being misused, then there may also be a reaction. Now, we don't want to cast aspersions or criticism of anybody's good intentions. That is very nice. Anybody's donations is very well. But one has to use their intelligence to evaluate. Just like you have Gopika and that lady there. Let's say you're trying to buy some gold bangle. You go to the jewelry shop in Venice, right? If you don't know how to test for gold, how do you know that you're getting 24 karat gold or 22 karat gold or some brass with gold paint? You have to know. That's why Prabhupada used to say you should be very careful. And Prabhupada used to say in that conversation with Achyutananda, if the money is misused, then both of them become implicated. Now, this is the point. One has to evaluate what he's doing. That's why the best service is to give people an original, non-adulterated, non-changed, non-polluted book of Śrīla Prabhupada. That is the best service you can give to any living entity. That is the association with a pure devotee. And introduce them to the chanting, very simple. It's not difficult. The chanting is very potent. That is the best thing, the most powerful thing. Just like we keep quoting from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Śrīla Prabhupada is saying, Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate, that all the Vedas are recommending this chanting. There is no higher path of self-realization than this chanting. And Prabhupada books is the perfect purport of all the chanting. It's the complete explanation. So I hope it helps.
Yes, and thank you, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, and all of the devotees here who are attending these classes. I get questions all the time from people online. As you know, I have over 25,000 people in my social media network that are in group pages and on my personal page in the Hare Krishna Hamilton Center. And so they start asking me for private tutorial. What about this? What about that? What about this? And I tell them very simply, I give them our catalog, our list of contact information in our groups. And I tell them, please go to our YouTube channel. And I want to recommend that you suggest people come to our YouTube channel, Hare Krishna Society, and hear the classes. Pretty much what we're talking about in these classes is how we live our lives. And if you want to get the details, you come to these classes, you can go to YouTube, you don't need to be at the live Zoom call, but you can go to these classes. We have 500, 600, 700 people attending some of them at various times during the month. And you can get an idea of what we're about. We're not changing this from day to day. It's basically the same story. We're elaborating on it. We're giving insight and all kinds of input from our group. So recommend this. If you want to get the invitation sheet from Vinkat Prabhu, please send him a request and he'll send you the artwork. We're getting ours printed this week with Joe Felice here in Hamilton. And wherever you go, you can give out these invitation cards to our classes. And in this way, people can come and learn about what we're saying, and then they can get the direction how to take shelter of Śrīla Prabhupada in his Vani incarnation. Listen, what we're going to do is, it is 12 noon. We're going to end the program. And thank you, everyone, for your questions. Please, Nilesh, save your comment for next Wednesday evening, where we'll have Chaitanya Charitamrita reading and discussion with our PDA Hare Krishna Society programming. And we want to thank everyone that's saying they could sit here and listen to this all day. Thank you, James K. James K. That's very kind of you. And you know, it's true. I could see us going on for hours and probably all day some days. But this is our schedule and we'll follow it as best as we can. So all glories to the Sankirtan movement and the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, speaking the truth about Prabhupada living in his Vani incarnation. Let's move forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna and Prabhupada playing the bongo drum for us. Chant along.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer a respectful obeisance unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks for everybody for participating. Thanks to all our good friends from Italy. Vijay Pandit, come va, come va?
Va bene.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, va bene.
Molto bene, molto bene.
Molto bene, molto bene.
Ah,
Buono.
excellente, excellente. Bhaktavjad, c'est
Eccellente.
très bien? Ça va très bien, Bhaktavjad? Oh, c'est magnifique, c'est magnifique.
Views on YouTube, 80,000 views on YouTube. Great victory for the Hare Krishna Society YouTube channel.
Very good. Gopika and all your friends, thank you for participating. Neil Sharma Prabhu, thank you for your very insightful comments. And as everybody, thanks Vishwakarma, Krishna Kata, Venkat Bhatta Prabhu, our producer, and everybody who's participating. We look forward to see all of you on Wednesday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific time or 8 o'clock Eastern time, Florida time, or Toronto time. Hare Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
In Italy, it will be 2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, too early. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri गुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य